Hi there everyone and welcome back to another Palace Transfer Watch video. Now in my last episode we talked about Wilfried Zaha because there was not much transfer news to talk about in general terms of Palace, or at least I couldn't really find anything concrete or good enough to start bringing up. So we talked about the whole transfer speculation around Zaha, not just in this window but in previous windows, and just my thoughts in general on that. Be sure to hit the link in the description down below to go and watch that video. But in this video, guys, we're going to be talking about an actual deal that could potentially happen. I'm still not too sure. It's very early days and it's still rumour stages. But the player we're going to be talking about in question is Schurrle. Now, Schurrle, we had some reports in the last window in January. They were basically rumours at a stretch. You know, they were last minute sort of things. We were desperate for a striker in the last window. It was a bit of a last minute deal. On deadline day we got Schurrle in, but we didn't really get the first team sort of striker we needed. So Schurrle came up as in the rumours, especially in deadline day, and it got a lot of fans excited. Didn't end up happening, but now in the summer window those rumours have come back and they're a little bit stronger than they were back in January. Still not 100% certain how much truth is in these rumours, but even if they're not true, it's still quite nice to see your club, especially a club of Palace's level, being linked to Schurrle. So doing a bit of information on Schurrle to you guys who may not know too much about him. He's a left winger. He currently plays at Borussia Dortmund. Has played a couple of times up front for Dortmund this season, only 3 times, but I quite like that. He's a dominantly left winger, and that's a position that we are looking at, so he would fit into the team, I think, if we did sign him. But the fact he can play up front and also sometimes on the right wing as well, switch wings, it's really good. Having a player that can adapt and play in multiple positions, it's really good for our team because of the way that we play, especially under Hodgson, having this sort of false 9, 4-4-2, but also having the wingers drop out wide, and having Loftus-Cheek, for example, and McCarthy, who played on left and right mids, come inside more, you know. So having a player that can adapt and change positions is really, really good. In terms of his history as a player, he started off his career at Mainz, got his debut back in 2009 as a really young 18-year-old, managed then to get a move to Leverkusen, and from there he came over to the Premier League to play for Chelsea, and that was back in the 2013-14 season, as I'm sure a lot of you will remember. He was a really key figure in that season, 15 appearances, 15 off of the bench as well, so played a really good chunk of games. Then ended up in the season after not really getting enough game time that he would have liked, and in the January window he came back to Germany to Wolfsburg, and then since then he's obviously now playing for his current club, which is Dortmund. So a lot of his time has been out in Germany, which I think is okay, because Germany, apart from the Premier League, is one of the more physical leagues in Europe, I think, which, you know, it's one of the closer leagues to the sort of play style we experience here in England. So having a player from the German league is always a good thing, I think, if you're looking to buy players from abroad. He knows exactly what it's like to play in the Premier League as well, on top of having that experience in Germany. And yeah, I think all of these signs are really good when you're looking for a player to bring in from abroad for a Premier League English team. So all signs are looking good at the moment. in terms of some of his stats, he's had up and down season. When I talk about stats, I'm talking about last season that just gone by with Dortmund. Didn't have the best of starts. He was in and out of the team he was in the team at a stretch. He was mainly in and out, really, mainly coming off of the bench. Had 18 appearances in total, 11 starts, 7 coming on as a substitute, and really it's under the last few months of the season under Peter Stoger, who came in as the new Dortmund coach, where he's had a bit more form. So yeah, not the best of seasons at all really for Schurrle. I mean, he's had 1 goal, 6 assists in 18 appearances, which for his standards is pretty poor. But in a way, that leads me to believe that some of these rumours maybe have a bit more backbone than first thought, just because the player out of form. When you're out of form, you're always looking, really, if you're out of form and not working at a certain club, where you can go next and try and get that form back. And if it's in the Premier League, which all players around Europe and most players around the world want to play in, it's quite easy to see them snatch at that chance. And Schurrle not being in the best of form right now could mean a move to Palace or a move to the Premier League in general could be a bit more concrete than first thought. He has had a decent little run in the Europa League this season, only 4 appearances, but Dortmund weren't in the Europa League that long. Managed to get a couple of goals in there. as well, so that's always good to see. He's still scoring in Europe, and that's obviously something that Palace are striving to achieve. There's been a lot of excitement around the club that the way we're playing in the close of this season that's just gone, and having Roy Hodgson stay at the club, players like Zaha, who I believe will stay at the club for at least the next season, seeing these and then bringing in the right players as well on top of that, seeing us make a much greater push towards those European spots. And you never know, I think the 7th place spot for Europa League is out in the open. Anyone could snatch that. It's not a nailed down spot as it has been for a couple of seasons. Players like Schurrle are going to be perfect for that. You also have to look at his national record as well. Over 50 caps for Germany, 57 in total at the moment, and he scored 22 goals and 57 caps for his country, which is actually, when you look at international goal scoring record, that is really, really good. Almost one every 2 games, almost. Missed out, unfortunately, this year for the World Cup. He's not made the 23-man provisional squad by Joachim Löw, and that will disappoint him, and that is a bit unfortunate for his career. He may have one more shot in 4 years' time. He's currently 27 years old, so entering the prime of his career, so quite a good time to buy Schurrle right now. But yeah, that would probably upset him a bit. But again, that's another reason maybe how he could look at Dortmund and say, although I'm having a good end to the season at Dortmund, in the season that's just gone, maybe Dortmund isn't the right fit for me. Maybe the fact I've missed out on the World Cup squad shows that he maybe needs to have a move somewhere else to regain that sort of form that got him in the 2014 squad. And not only got him in the 2014 squad, he scored multiple goals, including that goal in the famous 7-1 win against Brazil in the semi-final. So key player really coming off the bench for that Germany squad last World Cup. And so to have a player of that sort of quality, it's rare we get that. I think the last sort of player that reminds me of Andre Schurrle in the sense of a big name coming to Palace and having that sort of quality that we weren't used to having before was Yohan Cabaye just a few seasons ago. It was real excitement around the club when we signed in from PSG, and it's a similar sort of feeling around Schurrle. I think in terms of Twitter at the moment, people talking about him. If he does come to the club, I think he will be a big fan favourite, just because we haven't had that sort of quality at the club, and especially not for a number of seasons now. In terms of his transfer prices, his biggest transfer fee was in his move from Chelsea back to the Bundesliga to Wolfsburg. He went for a fee of about 28 million. And after the seasons he had, going from Wolfsburg to Dortmund, he hasn't had the best of time at Dortmund, like I said. I think his transfer fee will have dropped, and it won't be as much as that, especially as he's now entering the prime years of his career. He's probably, when you're looking at signing a 3-4 year deal with a player, he'll be into his 30s when the deal's done. So you may be looking at, a slight drop, if you get what I mean, in terms of transfer fee, also combining with the fact he's not had the best of time at Dortmund. In saying that though, obviously we've had the massive inflation in the transfer market after the Neymar deal last summer. So you could see him being around 20-25 million still. I think, or definitely around the 20 million mark at least, I assume. I think a bid around 20 mil would be a good starting point for Palace if we are really interested in going in for him. So guys, that's my little look at Schurrle. In terms of how I feel, it's definitely a position we need. I feel a little bit sorry for Townsend if we were to get him and he would lose his spot, because he's one of the, again, a player that the fans really love just because of the effort, the work rate he puts in. He said multiple times that he's disappointed about his goals contribution in both assists and scoring, and I think that is the side of his game he needs to improve on. It's not been great last season in that sense, which is probably why we're looking at a potential replacement for him in that position to try and add the goals and assists and take the workload off of the likes of Zaha for next season, which we definitely need to do, because at the moment I wouldn't call us exactly a one-man team, but going forward without Zaha we do lack a lot of creation and ideas. So bringing in Schurrle, although it would be, I'd be upset for Townsend to lose his spot, which he inevitably would do if we brought him in. I think that adds an incredible amount of depth, having Townsend on the bench, but also adds a lot more quality. If, Benteke, he's had the worst season of his career, Benteke, last season. So if he stays with Palace, you can only expect him to do better next season. And then if you had the likes of Zaha one side, Benteke up front, and Schurrle on the left side in a 3, or even if we kept with the 4-4-2 we've been playing, and you had Benteke and Townsend Benteke and Zaha up front, and you had Schurrle and Townsend on the wings, You know, it's looking like a lot more possibilities could happen, and yeah, I think it's a really exciting transfer if it goes through for Palace fans. For me, I think he's got a good pace, good finishing ability, especially for a winger. He's got really good finishing ability, and his goal scoring stats, especially in the early parts of his career, show that. So I'm all for this transfer if it's true. The only doubt that I have in my mind is that it's not been, like I said, absolutely concrete. These talks, these rumours that are going around. It's just rumours at this stage, but it's definitely one that I wanted to do a video on, because when I picked up on it, I thought, oh, that could be, you know, especially hearing it in January as well, to hear it again now in the summer window, I'd really, and starting to gain a tiny bit of momentum, not much, it's still really early stages, but knowing we need someone in that position and knowing him as a player and winning the league as well with Chelsea, it is quite exciting transfer if it does go through. So I'm going to just finish this video, guys, with a little rating that I do in terms of a combination of how much I want the player at the club and how much I think that, and the rating out of 10, I think that the chances of Palace signing him as well. So combined, I'd probably go around 7 out of 10. I think that he's a great player that the club needs, that we need at the moment. We need more depth in the winger department, absolutely, and he'd be a dead cert starter. I think his price is reasonable as well, around, like I said, the £20 million mark, I think is a good bid for him. He's got good goal scoring stats. He's got good, you know, ability on the wing. He's big, he's physical. He's also got pace as well. And also he's adaptable. He can play in multiple positions, which is very good for our style of play. And he's also got that grit that I think a lot of people will love at Selhurst Park. So that's my thoughts on Andreas Schurrle, guys. Please, in the comments right down below, as always, I love hearing your thoughts, and I really like doing these transfer little videos now. I know this is only the second one, but Transfer Watch is starting to kick off a bit more now as the window's going on, hotting up to the World Cup as well. It might die down a bit, but afterwards I'm expecting a lot more activity on the Transfer Watch. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Andreas Schurrle to Palace, are you for that deal? I'll see you next time, guys.